So first of all, let me start by saying thank you to Anna and to the team for all the work they put. And then it's my pleasure to introduce Alessandro, who is not only an expert in dance and flamenco, but also one of my friends. So really happy he could join us. Alessandro Navarro Barbeito is a Swiss-born Spanish ballet and contemporary dancer who is now based here in Seoul, in South Korea. He studied in the prestigious ballet school of the Hamburg Ballet of John Neumeier in Germany. And he has worked internationally, not just here in South Korea, but he has also plenty of experience in Europe, such as in the Stuttgart Ballet in Germany and the Ballet Theatre Basel in Switzerland.
With their reasoning other.
Okay, thank you. He's a person who loves learning, who loves challenging himself. And that's one of the reasons why he decided to come to South Korea and explore something new. And he came and joined the Seoul Ballet Theatre, where he worked with some of the most famous choreographers here in South Korea, such as James John and Jin Yop Cha. Recently, he has been working as a freelancer, which allowed him to work for the Korean National Contemporary Dance Company for the last 2 years, as well as participate in some of the most famous dance galas here in South Korea. He also teaches ballet and contemporary dance in several institutions in South Korea. And one of the things that make him really unique is the fact that he's not only the first Spanish dancer, or at least one of the first Spanish dancers who is building his career in South Korea, but definitely he's the only one who combines ballet, contemporary dance, flamenco, and Korean traditional dances in his performances. So he's quite unique in that aspect. And you might actually recognize him because he has been in several TV shows here in South Korea, such as the Osowa Hangugen Chou Michi, like something like Welcome, First Time in Korea, as well as in some shows, some international shows back in Spain. So I know he's super happy to be here to show you a little bit more about flamenco. And I know we are as grateful to him for coming all the way to Songdo to teach us a little bit more about this dance. Please, let's welcome Alessandro.
Well, hello, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you very much. I'm very pleased to be here and just teach you a little bit of flamenco, which is part of the Spanish culture. And thank you, Utah University. Thank you, Vaiti, and thank you, everyone. So let's get started. So first of all, I want to, before we get into moving a little bit, I think it's important we understand a little bit about flamenco and especially where flamenco comes from, right? Does anyone, I guess, is anyone familiar with flamenco at some level? Not at all. What about, do you know where flamenco comes from? Well, I just said it a few seconds ago, but which country does flamenco come from? Great, nailed it, great. Okay, let's go. So then let's, wait. I think that's not working. Like that. Oh, now, okay. So let's find out a little bit about the origin, okay? I'll go through that as fast as I can, so we can actually move a little bit. So the origin of flamenco is Spain, and then I just wanted to present the map a little bit so we understand a little bit better. So it says composed by 17 autonomous regions with their own distinctive cultures, traditions, and dances. Okay, so very important for everyone, when we say flamenco, this is a misunderstanding. It's not the only national dance. We have actually 17 national dances. What happens then? That apparently, internationally speaking, flamenco came across as the Spain's national dance, but we cannot overlook the other 16 dances that actually make today's Spain folk, right? So let's take a look into that, okay? So we have here the 17 autonomous regions, And I just named the different name of the dances. So let's go one by one. We have here Catalonia, we have Sardana. Okay, we have Valencia region, we have La Danza, we have Parranda, and then right here, Andalusia, which is the biggest autonomous region in Spain, right? We have Sevillanas Flamenco. Okay, this is the region where flamenco gave birth, okay? So if we ever think of flamenco culture, flamenco dance, this is where we need to think about, okay? That's the region, all right? Then we have Son, Extremadura, we have Seguidillas, Castilla-La Mancha, Jotas Aragonesas, Aragón, Chotis, Rondas, Danza de Palos, Zorcico, Aurrescu, Montañesas, Asturianas, Muñeira, La Mateja, Isa. All those dancers are today's Spain's folk, Spain's dance. It's not only that one, okay? But it's probably the one who's got the biggest influence in the Spain, in today's Spanish culture, okay? Let's move to the next one. So, okay, so we have here some pictures, and before we dig into flamenco, let's take those pictures as a reference so we can compare with flamenco afterwards. So we have here Chotis, which is the national dance or the regional dance of Madrid. We have Aurrescu in País Vasco, the northern part of Spain, which have Isa, which is in las Islas Canarias, and Muñeira, Galicia, which is another regional dance of the Galicia region, okay? All right, so then what is flamenco then? Let's analyze a little bit closer, more in detail. So then it says it's a Spanish art form expressed through singing, which is cante, music, toque o guitarra, and dancing, which is baile. So when we talk about flamenco, there's three elements. There's the singing part, which is called cante in Spanish. We have the music, which is toque o guitarra. Toque is the clapping part, and guitarra, the very famous Spanish guitar. And then we have the baile, which is the dancer, right? Those three elements are part of the flamenco dance. What happens? What happens here? If we have only a singer singing flamenco music as a genre, that's still flamenco. We don't need a dancer necessarily. We can have a dancer with a music, but still dancing flamenco. We can have a singer singing flamenco, and no, we don't have the need to have a dancer on stage, and same happens with the guitar, okay? Okay, the origins take place in the southern region of Andalusia, as I just mentioned, in the late 18th century as a fusion of the Andalusian folklore, Gypsy, Jewish, and African culture of that time. Andalusia is famous because in that region, there was a lot of Gypsies, Jewish, and African people based and settled in that region. And the mix of their own cultures together with the already existing Andalusian folklore is the origin of flamenco. So we need to understand flamenco as a fusion of actually 4 different cultures, okay? So then it says flamenco is divided into different musical forms, which is palos. Palos is a Spanish word. And then depending on the origin, meter, or dance, the most popular ones are sevillanas, bulerías, soleás, alegrías, seguirillas, fandangos, and tangos, correct? So we need to understand flamenco as a musical and dance genre, which is composed by over 50 to 100 different styles. So we see, for example, sevillana, which is one of the styles, that is flamenco. If we see bulerías, which is another kind of music and dance flamenco style, we always say this is also flamenco, soleás, alegrías, seguirillas, fandangos, and tangos, and over approximately 100 more styles. Is it clear? And then we go the 16th of November. So actually today is the 11th anniversary of 2010. The flamenco was inscribed on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity by the UNESCO. So today is the day. So today we're gonna dance, yeah, as much as we can to celebrate flamenco. And then we says flamenco might be seen in the street, private gatherings, bars, tablaos, and festivals. So we need to understand that flamenco started in the street, and we believe that flamenco is more than a dance, is an emotion. And we believe that flamenco, no matter how many hours you train it in, if you don't have that emotion, you're not the best flamenco dancer you could ever be. That's what beliefs, and especially Gypsy people believe like that, okay? So it started like that, and then into move, it got perfected, it got structured, and then nowadays you can see flamenco in the theater, in the street still. If you go, I don't know if any of you have been to Spain before, but if you go to either Barcelona, you go to Madrid, you go to especially southern part of Spain, you can just walk in the street and find any flamenco dancing with a, just some guitar and some flamenco dancer, okay? And then we go into the next thing, which is, wait, we went too fast. Okay, flamenco artists of all time, okay? So those are the artists that anyone in Spain would recognize as probably the most outstanding artists in the flamenco history, right? So we have Paco de Lucía, which is a guitarist. In Spanish, we will call that tocador. We have Camarón de la Isla, also a cantador, which is a singer. And then we have, for example, Mario Maya, which is a male flamenco dancer. And we have Carmen Amaya, a female flamenco dancer. And then we have flamenco artists of today, right? Unfortunately, the previous ones, they all passed away already. But for example, those ones are still very much active in the flamenco scene in Spain. So we have Jose Mercé, which is still, he's based in Barcelona actually, and he's a gypsy singer. And then we flamenco singer, and then we have Sara Varas, which is probably now the most famous flamenco dancer we have in Spain. And I would like just go for a video. So we see her show that did 2 weeks ago 2 months ago in Madrid in Spain. She's the one in white. That's Sara Varas. That would be it. Just for us to get a glimpse of what flamenco looks like. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Great, thank you. And then we have the famous tablao, okay? Tablao is traditionally where a flamenco show used to take place, right? And you can find many of them still in any city in Spain, especially in Madrid, Barcelona, Sevilla, Granada, and of course, the southern part of Spain, right? So we have here, for example, as I just mentioned, the different elements that we have in flamenco. We have here, she's the dancer, in this case, bailaora in Spanish. And then we have here at the back, we have tocadores, which are the people playing the guitar. And then we have los palmeros o toque, which are also the people who are accompanying the dancer with the clapping, right? Okay, flamenco traditional instruments, of course, we have cajon flamenco and guitarra flamenca. Actually, if you would see, for example, Paco de Lucía, that famous guitarist or tocador, he would just go on stage with only the guitar, and that would be a flamenco performance, a flamenco music performance, right? We don't need necessarily to have the cajon, and we don't necessarily need to have a dancer on stage to do a flamenco performance. All right, so flamenco traditional accessories. Okay, great. So some of these accessories, they only apply to the female dancer, and some of them, they only apply to the male dancer, okay? In this case, those two ones, okay, that I'll show you right now that I have ready right there. The botín flamenco para hombre y castañuelas o palillos, they only apply to the female, male, and then female and male dancer, okay? Let's take a look to the shoes first of all. Okay, I'll wear them later. Okay, so if we look at the shoes, okay, that would be a male version, okay, of the shoes. So what happens here is the flamenco is very famous for the zapateado, right? So in order to make that sound as loud as possible, we need two things which are very important. We need, first of all, proper floor. The proper floor, it's called tablao. Tablao is a place where you perform flamenco, but it's also the wooden floor where a flamenco performance should take place. So second of it, the second element is very important. If you look here at the heel and the tip, we've got the nails. This is very important. That ensures that the sound comes out properly, as loud as possible, right? So this is very important when you buy flamenco shoes, which actually they're pretty expensive. All right. Yeah, so then the next element we have here, we said castañuelas o palillos, and then we have mantón. Okay, we have two mantons here. For example, we have this one. Oh, the one she's wearing, for example, this is a mantón, and this is only used by the female dancer, even though nowadays there's a lot of fusion, so you could probably see any male dancer also wearing a mantón. What else do we have here? We have the shoes for the women, that same ones, maybe the design is slightly different. And then we go to here, we have the flor, the flower. This is very characteristic of flamenco also. And we have the peineta, which is kind of a comb that only the female dancer would use. And then we have the famous abanico. I guess you all have an abanico in your hands. Am I right? Okay, can you show me your abanico? Your fan? Great. So I'll show you the flamenco technique to use this fan. Okay. Let's open the fan, everyone. Great. Let's open the fan, and then what you need to do is imagine the tip of the fan. You want to create a nade shape. So you want to do this shape all the time. So you got to move your wrist. I'll show you. This is the A shape we want to do, and then if we grab the fan, we just want to go like that. A shape. Right? Make sure you do a nade with the tip of the fan. You're drawing a nade, correct. And that will be it. And then when you do it, you can do here, you can do here, and you can do here. Okay? Nice. All right. Very good, everyone. Okay, let's move into the next slide. All right, palos flamencos. Palos is a term we use in Spanish to refer at the different styles there that exist within the flamenco genre as a musical genre and as a dance genre, okay? Those are all the genres. So there's approximately, I just counted them all, and there's about like 89. So when we say flamenco, for example, if you see this genre on stage, that would be called flamenco. If you say this genre, that would be flamenco. That we call this genre, that would be flamenco. All right, and some of them include dance, some of them just include guitar, and some of them just include singing. It depends the genre we're talking about. So, sevillanas, okay. Among all the genres that comprise flamenco, there's one which is probably the most famous one and that you could learn at any flamenco academy, even in Korea. I just went to a flamenco academy the other day and they were dancing that. They were learning the famous sevillanas. The sevillanas is actually designated as Andalusia's, that southern part of Spain's region's national or regional dance, right? So let's take a look into it. So sevillanas is Andalusia's representative folk dance and the most popular palo style among the over the 50, but actually 89 genders that comprise flamenco. And then says this style is an evolution of musical, okay, the seguidillas manchegas from Castilla-La Mancha, whose later influence on the Andalusian folklore turned into seguidillas sevillanas. This dance that we will see later on, that I guess you will be very familiar with, it actually did not come from Andalusia, it came from another region in Spain. But what happened at the time? That song, that musical and dance composition, at that time called Seguidillas Manchegas from Castilla-La Mancha, which is another region in Spain, got in contact with the southern part of Spain and then changed its name to Seguidillas Sevillanas. Later on, Seguidillas Sevillanas got influenced by flamenco, and then it got designated Andalusia's regional dance. And then it says, this dance primarily danced by peasants in corrales or patios is now performed by any civilian or Andalusian during Andalusia's most representative festivals, La Feria de Abril and La Romería. Right. So this dance, as I mentioned before, flamenco in general, started in the street in corrales or patios. The patios is where people from the same block would gather in a patio, would just start singing with the guitar, dancing, and this is how it started. But then it got perfected, got structured, and nowadays you can learn sevillanas and of course flamenco because it's the same genre in any Spain, in any dance conservatory in Spain, and it's a major that it lasts for about 8 years. Okay. And then this dance, specifically this one, this genre, this flamenco genre called sevillanas, we can see it in La Feria de Abril, or also called April's Fair or Seville's Fair, and La Romería. Okay, let's take a look. That would be a very common scenery in Sevilla during the April Fair. You know, people just dress with a traditional flamenco or Sevilla's costume. They would just go out in the street, and this festival lasts for 1 week, 2 weeks after Christmas, you know, and people are literally dancing all day long flamenco, and especially Sevillanas dance. We have a very, so we have like those women here wearing the flamenco dress, the Sevillanas dress, right? And we can see this is let's say this is a traditional flamenco dress. They have the manton here, the thing that we just showed. They have the comb here, they have the flower, right? And then this dress with flounces, with frills. And in the case of the male, right, it was hard to find a proper picture actually, but it's very common to wear just like a jacket with a vest, a shirt, pants, boots, and this famous hat, which is called el sombrero cordobés. It's a hat that is very traditional from another province within Andalusia, which is Córdoba. And then we have also the same here. And then we have this picture, which is a picture of the of Sevilla during the fair, April's fair at night. And we're just gonna see a video of 2 young kids dancing Sevillanas during la Feria de Abril. This is how it would look like during April's fair. That will be almost like 24 hours all day. They will be dancing that in the street. And then this is, for example, the Andalusia's regional dance, which is a flamenco genre as well. So we go into the next thing, which is thank you, muchas gracias. And I'm going to show you 2 very important words in flamenco when we dance. We have this one, which I guess a lot of you are familiar already, which is ole. And we have this one, which is arsa. Okay, what does this mean? Well, it's hard to translate those words in English, actually, but those words are expressions that we would use, the musicians, to cheer up the dancer while we're dancing. So imagine we're doing something, and the musician would go, arsa, or ole, right? And that would be it. So now when we practice the dance, make sure we put that into practice as well. And that would be it. Thank you very much. I don't know if any of you have any question. Any doubts? All right, shall we get into moving a little bit? Of course. Okay. Oh, just the music actually. All right, are we ready? Yes. Vamos. Okay. All right. So first of all, we're just gonna go through some of the basics. Please come with me. I'm waiting for you to come. You can stand here, everyone. Right. Wonderful. Great. I'm excited too. All right. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna learn, we're gonna go through really basics of flamenco. And the first thing we're gonna learn, and probably one of the very characteristic thing about flamenco, is how to use the hands, right? So actually there's the male technique and the female technique to use the hands. Okay, so we're gonna cover first the female technique, okay? So I'm just gonna put the mic. So stand up, and then we're gonna go into what is called first position with your hands. I don't know if anyone has done ballet before in the room. All right. So our first position, we go into first position. Okay, right on where our belly button is. Right. And then the dorsum of our hands are going to meet each other. Okay. Okay. So now it comes the female technique. Okay. First of all, let's make a fist. Let's practice the movement. So it's going to go out. neutral position. Out, great. And come in. In, out. In. Always come back to the neutral position. In, out. In. Just practice one more time. Out. In. Out. In. In. Great. That's motion. Now let's add the fingers. Okay? Okay. Female version. Okay? It's the middle finger leading the movement. Okay? I'm just gonna show it to you. All right? So we're in this position. Middle finger. Lift it up and bring it back. Right. Middle finger, remember? Middle finger starts. Open up. And middle finger starts one more time. And dorsal. Right? And let's go. Practice. Great. Wonderful. Make sure you gesticulate every finger. Okay? Wonderful. What happens now with the middle finger? Okay? Which nowadays is not that very often used, though. It's not the middle finger, it's 4 fingers at the same time. Okay? I'm going to show it to you. It's a full thumb. Okay? It's not. And imagine you grab something and bring it back to you, and you let it go. Bring it back. Great. Wonderful. That's it. Wonderful. Okay. Now let's go. We're going to combine all this with the music. But first of all, we've got the hands done. Now let's go to what is called braceo in Spanish, which is the arm work. Okay? So we have 8 different positions in flamenco. Okay? Let's cover them. So we're going to go into first position. Okay? Let's go into second position. There's never a straight line, never, always round, curved line. Okay? We go into a third position. We go into a fourth position. Okay? We go into a fifth position. Sixth position. Right next to our hip. Seventh position. And eighth position, which is same as first, almost like first but at the back. Great. Wonderful. So we practice one more time. Let's go first and second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh and eighth. What about if we add the hints now? Okay? The hints now. Okay? Remember, okay, there's a tip here, okay? We go, remember, no smaller hints meaning, and now we go open up, and close, and second, and close, and third, and fourth, great, wonderful, and fifth, and sixth, and seventh, and eighth. That's it. Great. Okay, shall we try that with the music? Yeah, let's go. Okay, please follow me. Okay, but for the moment, just look at the right. Okay, are we okay with that? Can I add something else? Yes. Okay. Let's go into the next move. Next move is called marcaje. Marcaje in English would be marque. And this is the step we use in order to stress out, to emphasize the beat of the rhythm that we're dancing, the follow that we're dancing. In this case, we're dancing two tangos, which is one from the other. Okay? So in this case, let's only learn the legs first. Okay? Okay. So hands can be right here. And this is a marcaje to the front. Basically, we step front. Our body weight is shifting to the front leg, and we come back to the original. And just back to the front. Let's do one more time. Now let's do diagonal. Not diagonal. Good. Diagonal. Into the diagonal. Okay. Let's be a little bit more active. Okay, when we do the marcaje to the front, it's the ball of the foot is going from. Yes. Great. Ankle. Only the ball of the foot. Time. Now, one more time. Back. One. So what's going to happen now? It's going to add the hands and the arms, right? So, okay, for this marcaje, which is considered the basic, the very basic marcaje, we're going to go into a quick position, facing out to the side, right? The arms are not on our hands, slightly to the front, and then we're going to go slowly, and open. Right? Same leg, same arm is going down. Okay? Right. So if leg, right, okay? Okay. Right. So if right leg is going to the front, same arm is going down. Clear? Yeah. Right. What happens here with the hand? While we go front, this hand is opening up, and then come back to the original. And open up, and open. Great. And open. And close. And close. What happens to diagonal? Diagonal. And up. And open. And up. And up. Up. And open. Okay, it's very important actually that we opening that. While we go to the front, the hand is opening up, and when we come back, the same motion to go. Is it clear? Okay, so everything is please. I'm just gonna add two more things and then we'll rehearse. We'll work on that. So we just came back to that, and now we're going to do eight. We did all the arm positions, all the rapel, and now we're gonna do some slightly different arms that we just did before. So in this position, we came back, and now same thing. Marcaje to the front, back. That's still the same. Okay, only the arms that change. Okay, so now we're gonna do to the front. Imagine you grab something. Same diagonal. What happens now? Diagonal. We go up, in, up, 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 down, up. go one to the front. Down, can we put all of that together? Yes, okay. What we're going to do is, remember we're going to do full time one, into, in, and one, into, in, four. We do one, in two, in, four, in one. Here, but we also first, we're going to do this from the beginning, please. Okay, can I make it a slightly more difficult? Yes. Okay. Same step, a tiny bit faster. Okay, tiny bit faster. That means we do this same thing. 2 steps. We're gonna do faster. That's gonna go in 1, in 2, in 3, in 4, and like that. Okay, so we're gonna do 4 slow, faster. Come back to this slower, and then faster. Is it clear? Unless you want to get the moment, please.
De color de cera mare.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, can I move into the next thing? Okay, now let's go into some very basic zapateado or taconeado, which is the move. Okay, I'm gonna go into that. Okay, so we're just gonna do hands minus or kicks. Normally for the female version, we do like that. Male, we do like that. Okay, so we do like that for the moment. Great. And then we're gonna do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and all of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more time. 1, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. One, two, 4, 5, 6, 7, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. We do that 5 times. What's gonna happen with our hands? So the first 2 times Hands stay here. We stay here for the man. Okay, so we do 1, 2, in, in, in. What happens now? We add a hand. Okay, so we do. What's gonna happen now? 1, 5, 6, 7. Okay, slowly. Okay, very important in flamenco. Never this position. Always miss line the bend. So that position is always going to be easier to move. Whatever we do, we still like this is going to be hard. Okay, always bend. Release up. Here. Okay, always try to do the music. Thank you very much. Okay, let's do all the time slowly. Remember, knees bend, okay? Knees bend. You just need to stop. Okay, so you go 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's the step you do 1 time. Okay, first time, no hands, just here. What happens from the third time? We add the hand, okay? And then keep on moving while the foot is still doing the zapatea. Is it clear? So 1, 2, 8. What happens now? 1, 2, 5, 7. How we practice one more time? Okay, very good. Okay, so now we're gonna do from the top. We're gonna do from the top. That means we're gonna do the braceado. That 6, 6, 7, 8. Then we're gonna do 1, 8 in between. Then we're gonna go to that 4 times low. Right? I actually 4 times. We come down 15 with the wrist. 4 times low. You're not gonna be fast. Okay? And then we come back. Okay, questions? No questions. Okay. Please.
de color de cera mare, de color de cera mare, tengo yo mi propia carne y que me ha puesto tu querer, que no me conoce nadie, que me ha puesto tu querer, que no me conoce nadie. Está en la calle.
What's gonna happen now? We're gonna do one more time, because this is so great. I want to make it slightly more technical. You just did it before. It's the same thing, but what happens is that after we do the full time slow, it's gonna happen fast. Okay? We're just gonna do slow and slow and slow, 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 and then we're gonna go fast. And then here, slow and all the time. That was great. That was wonderful. Please, thank you. De color de cera mare, de color de cera mare, tengo yo mi propia carne y que me ha puesto tu querer, que no me conoce nadie, que me ha puesto tu querer, que no me conoce nadie. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing, marcate, but a tiny bit different. Okay, let me show you first. So we're going to go same position. Okay, we finish the zapateado. After we do all that, we're going to go again one more time to fifth position, come to the side, and we're going to go. We did the marcate going to the diagonal, and we're shifting our weight, right? Now we're not shifting our weight, we just kind of sit down on our skating. So this is like the weight is only the standing, okay? And that's gonna go like that. Arms go to a fourth position. Yes. Up, fourth, in, up. On time. Same position, now go forward, and come back, into the fourth, and come back, to the front, same position, and now to the side, and now after up. Okay, let me do one more time. So we go same position, we go marcate to the up, and up, front, same position as front, just change direction, and now go up. questions. Are we clear? Shall we do one more time? Yes, one more time. Great. So we finish this zapateado, tap, 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 tap. We're gonna go slowly 1-8 all the way up, right? So now we go. Stay on your standing leg. Standing leg. Okay. Into the back. Into the back. Into the front. Into the side. And up. Now we'll begin. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this also like 4 times. Very slow. Please turn out the music from the beginning. Is it clear? Can we do one time with the music? Okay, let's do it slow and then we're gonna do 2 slow, 2 fast. Please. Okay, how is it? Okay? Okay. Can we try to do that from the top then? Yeah! So remember, after zapateado, hands up, and we go into this thing, and we're gonna do 2 slow in 2 fast. Clear? Please.
De color de cera mare, de color de cera mare, tengo yo mi propia carne que me ha puesto tu querer, que no me conoce nadie, que me ha puesto tu querer, que no me conoce nadie. Está en la calle, sáqueme usted una sillita, que nadie se coma a nadie, sáqueme usted una sillita, que nadie se coma a nadie. Y al pie de la sepultura de embriagada no cae. Corre y dile a esa mujer que me tiene boca en boca y una vez que le di un beso.
Can I add something else? Okay, let's go. We're almost finished. It's almost finished. It's a combination, okay? We're almost finished. Okay, what's gonna happen now is this, okay? I'm just gonna do the legs, okay? This is another marcaje. We're gonna go. Okay, one more time. So, same thing, the zapateado, but we're just moving, okay? To the right side first, and we're just gonna go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wait, 7, 8. And then 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, wait, 7, 8. Okay, now there's no wait, okay? Then we're just gonna go. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now we're just gonna go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 each time. Clear, so we go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Okay, is it clear? So we do one more time. First, without the hands, without the arms, okay? Okay, let's go. So we're gonna 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, no problem. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it clear? Yeah. Okay, shall we do that without the knees first, without the arms? Please. Okay, now let's add the names. Okay, let's make the name. The zapateado, or we did it before, but zapateado was not that. We did the hymn, right? We went to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? Same thing but moving. So that goes like that. 7, 8. 1, 2, okay? So we're gonna go. Ready? 7, 8. Double 7, which is 7, 8. Here we go. 8. Is it clear? How we cover the music? Yeah. Music, please. It's okay. All right. Shall we try? Only this part?
De color de cera mare, de color de cera mare, tengo yo mi propia carne que me ha puesto tu querer, que no me conoce nadie, que me ha puesto tu querer, que no me conoce nadie. Está en la calle, sáqueme usted una sillita, que nadie se coma a nadie, sáqueme usted una sillita, que nadie se coma a nadie. Y al pie de la sepultura de rodilla me hinqué, las lágrimas de mis ojos se quejaban al caer. Corre y dile a esa mujer que me tiene boca en boca, y una vez que le di un beso, por poco se vuelve loca. Ay, no te vayas arriba a bañarte sol.
Okay, last step, and that's the end. Are we ready for that? Yeah. Okay. We're going to become Flamenco, right? All right. So next step, okay? Next step, we finish here, right? Same thing. We're just going to go down 1 inch, and then we're going to go the other way around 1 inch. What's going to happen now? We're going to snap. Okay, this is very typical Flamenco. So we're just going to 1 inch, 4, Now what's going to happen? Not the following step. It's going to go 1, in, 3, in, 4, 5, 6, in, 4, 5, in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, diagonal front and back 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8. Reach up. Okay, other leg. In 1, 2, in 4, 6, 7, 8. 1, 1. We're just gonna do 1. Last time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, only twice. 7, 8. Clear? This is an only move. Okay? Good. Can we try with the music, please? Only that part, please. The last part. Thank you. That would be 8. That would be 8. So we have some names. The first one is a name. First one is the 1 inch in. Second, only without me. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Third one, let's do this name. We're just gonna go out and in. Out. In. Imagine you grab something and then you throw it. Okay, so you grab it, throw it. You grab it, throw it out, you grab it. Up, down, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and 5, 6, and 7. Again, you do this, please.
tengo yo mi propia carne y que me ha puesto tu querer, que no me conoce nadie, que me ha puesto tu querer, que no me conoce nadie. Que tu madre está en la calle, sáqueme usted una sillita, que nadie se coma a nadie, sáqueme usted una sillita, que nadie se coma a nadie. Y al pie de la sepultura de rodillas me hinqué, las lágrimas de mis ojos se quejaban al caer. Corre y dile a esa mujer que me tiene boca en boca, y una vez que le di un beso, por poco se vuelve loca. Ay, no te vayas al río a bañarte solo. Mira que la barquilla con los barquillos levantan olas. Mira que la barquilla con los barquillos levantan olas. Calabacín, calabazón, son, que esta gitana me la llevo yo. Calabacín, calabazón, que esta gitana me la llevo yo.
I know the time is, but you want to do it one more time? You're tired, I guess. Can we take this very last one? Or is this time already? Una más, venga, una vez más, venga. Hasta, come on. Want me to go down? Want me to go down? Anyone wants to try that on? Anyone? Okay, let's go. I'm going to see you. I'm facing back. I won't be able to see you, right? Okay. All right, so let's go.
no me conoce nadie, que me ha puesto tu querer, que no me conoce nadie. Que tu madre está en la calle, sáqueme usted una sillita, que nadie se coma a nadie. Sáqueme usted una sillita, que nadie se coma a nadie. Y al pie de la sepultura de rodillas me hinqué. Las lágrimas de mis ojos se quejaban al caer. Corre y dile a esa mujer que me tiene boca en boca, y una vez que le di un beso, por poco se vuelve loca. Ay, no te vayas al río a bañarte solo. Mira que las barquillas con los barquillos levantan olas. Mira que las barquillas con los barquillos levantan olas. Calabacín, calabazón, son, que esta gitana me la llevo yo. Calabacín, calabazón, que esta gitana me la llevo